make you do it?
Yes.
What did it cost?
Everything.
Welcome back, everyone. Maximum Effort. Deadpool and Thanos meeting each other in the Soul World during Avengers Infinity War. All kinds of deleted scenes Ryan Reynolds just released and Marvel just released for the movie, so we'll break it all down. There was a ton of stuff that they hadn't talked about before. He also joked that he had way more deleted scenes on his phone, and he was threatening to release them like a joke, that he was just going to start releasing more and more deleted scenes that we hadn't seen before. So whatever they do wind up releasing, of course I will continue to do videos for. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. They can make entire other movies with all the deleted scenes that they've been releasing from this movie. Like, there's 4 movies inside this one movie. The actual Deadpool versus Thanos deleted scene here would have taken place during one of the alternate versions of the movie that Ryan Reynolds said that he pitched to Kevin Feige before they actually landed on the version of the movie that we saw in theaters. It would have been called Deadpool's Deleted Scenes Extravaganza, with him and Doctor Strange here coming out of the portal on the cover. It was going to be an entire movie of just different scenes from previous Marvel movies that they would have added Deadpool in with special effects. All with the purpose of revealing that he's been in the MCU this whole time, and he'd been in all the Marvel movies up to this point, but nobody had noticed him. So the Thanos scene would have been Deadpool showing up during the events of Avengers Infinity War during the snap when he attacks Wakanda, then actually snaps the Infinity Gauntlet. Presumably, he would have seen Deadpool inside the Soul World. There's actually a couple ways to explain how that would be possible based on the way the Soul World works in the comics, and also Deadpool's ability to break the fourth wall. The Russos also changed the way the Soul World works a little bit for the purposes of the movies. They explained that after those movies came out a couple years ago. Just inside the MCU movies, after someone is able to snap the Infinity Gauntlet, right after they're transported to the Soul World inside the Soul Gem that's able to hold copies of all the souls in the universe. And what each person sees inside the Soul World is usually someone really meaningful to them. Like Gamora was Thanos' favorite daughter who he loved, he was very close with. The reason it's young Gamora in Infinity War is because it's the soul of older Gamora just appearing to him in younger form, because that's how Thanos is thinking of her now. Each person who snaps the gauntlet sees different things that are personal to them specifically inside the Soul World. So for instance, when Iron Man snapped the Infinity Gauntlet during Endgame, there was a deleted scene of him meeting his daughter Morgan Stark in adult form. This would have also explained that the Soul World exists outside of time, when past, present, and future all exist at the same time, and that's why he's able to see his daughter's future soul in adult form talking to him.
If you're happy, I'm happy.
So here's the follow-up question to this Thanos and Deadpool scene. If Thanos is seeing Deadpool in the Soul World, that means that they're saying that at some point Thanos became very close to Deadpool in a deeply personal way because he's seeing him instead of young Gamora in the Soul World here. So you can let me know what you think happened between them for Deadpool to become so close to Thanos that he's the person that he sees in the Soul World, like how deeply personal he became to him. But the entire alternate version of this Deadpool and Wolverine movie would have been scenes like this. Just an entire movie of the wildest, most unhinged deleted scenes from previous Marvel movies with Deadpool added in. I would have totally paid the price of a ticket to go see that movie a couple times. This next deleted scene that Ryan Reynolds just released as I'm posting this video features more Jean Grey name drops, bunch of Nickelback jokes, more Thor crying jokes, and in the clip, Deadpool also makes references to getting up close and personal with Thor separately from the earlier time when he saw him in his future on the monitors, meaning that Deadpool has already seen Thor.
Time is going by so much faster.
I don't want to pry, but what happened between you and Jean? You guys seem so good together. Wait.
You've never seen the trailer for Tiptoes? You'll love it. I've been called a lot of disgusting things over the years, but reliable narrator is not one of them.
Do you know that minus 40 Fahrenheit is minus 40 Celsius? It's so stupid. I don't even think Tiptoes is a movie.
I think it's I think they just made a trailer. And he was crying. Thor. For me, like a baby. The god of thunder. Piggyback ambush. Fuck off. And I'll tell you, so handsome, but up close, no thank you.
You won't believe this, but his hair? Extensions. Cheap ones. Unless you're in a professional salon, You cannot hide hair lace.
God, you're so climbable.
Ripper. It sounds better when you say it in an Australian accent. Yeah, got a nice little time ripper there. That's fun. It's not.
So you can let me know when you think Deadpool actually met Thor in person. He could have done it if he still had Cable's time travel device and just jumped to some other part in the timeline. They never explained what happened between Jean Grey and this Wolverine in his universe. She died though, like she's dead in his universe because of what happened. Like that's the regret that he experiences during the movie, as he explains. His entire team of X-Men and all the children too at the school were dead. The very obscure Tiptoes reference is also a Matthew McConaughey joke. If you didn't see that movie, the trailer he's talking about is for Matthew McConaughey's 2003 comedy Tiptoes, and he's just joking that that wasn't an actual movie. It was an actual movie, but the reason why he's making the trailer joke, like I think it was just a trailer, is because Matthew McConaughey just recently, like very recently, went on a podcast and rewatched his own trailer himself for the first time and just clowned on himself. So Deadpool is making fun of Matthew McConaughey, who was making fun of himself.
Trailer's so good. I've never seen the trailer. This is so good.
Very, very meta kind of joke to make for Deadpool. There's another deleted scene that he just released that was from after the Deadpool Corps final fight where Peter Pool shows up and they're all giving their speeches, and it's the Deadpool Corps clowning on Deadpool. I had to cut a couple of the F-bombs out of this just because YouTube is so hardcore, but this is the clip.
My Peter gave me a sense of belonging when no one else would. From the diaphragm, yeah! Who said that? Go back to Canada, asshole! All that guy said was Peter stuff!
Some of you might have detected too, the voice at the very end of that when they're all clowning on him who says go back to Canada is actually Walker Scobell, because Ryan Reynolds is from Canada naturally, but they also filmed the Adam Project, the film that he did with Walker Scobell in Vancouver in Canada. Originally, Walker Scobell was supposed to play Kid Pool during the movie, but it took them so long to actually make it that he aged up, he grew so big, and they wanted Kid Pool to be a little kid, so that's why Ryan Reynolds' daughter wound up playing the character. There are a bunch more Easter eggs they show here. You see Wolverine doing the X-Men the Animated Series meme with the picture. They've actually done a couple different versions of this too. They revealed the other alternate versions of the movie that they were going to make were Dead Hard, a Die Hard parody, obviously, Deadpool and the Tramp, a reference to Lady and the Tramp, big Disney movie, with Deadpool being the lady and Peter being the tramp in that equation. Minimum Pants, Maximum Bother. That's also a follow-up on all the Winnie the Poohing jokes that Ryan Reynolds made in previous Deadpool movies like the baby legs scene. He's calling it Winnie the Poohing because it's just a shirt and no pants. Deadpool's baby is a Rosemary's Babies joke. That movie's all about her giving birth to the Antichrist, so presumably in that movie, the way they make it look on the poster is that somebody would have given birth to a version of Deadpool and he would have been the Antichrist of the movie. They actually just parodied something similar during Agatha All Along with the Darkhold to make people think that Agatha lost her son, Nicholas Scratch, because of the Darkhold, but that was a big misdirect. Deadpool Fiction with Nick Fury because Samuel L. Jackson was one of the main characters in Pulp Fiction, the real version of the movie. Ryan Reynolds in Raging Pool is a Raging Bull Robert De Niro Scorsese reference. In My Dinner with Deadpool is a My Dinner with Andre reference. Great movie if you haven't seen it, but the whole movie is basically the two of them at a restaurant just talking to each other, so it's super low budget. Ryan Reynolds explained this was his pitch to Kevin Feige to make a $4 million Deadpool movie where it's just him in a Deadpool costume talking to someone else across a table for the entire movie. They actually already kind of did a version of this idea in the MCU during the old school Marvel one-shots back in the day. They did one with Coulson and Sitwell called The Consultant, where they basically talk about getting Thunderbolt Ross to keep the Abomination in prison so that the World Security Council can't force Thunderbolt Ross to put the Abomination on the Avengers initiative. They agree to send a consultant to meet Thunderbolt Ross and talk about it, which winds up being Iron Man Tony Stark, and it's them connecting back to the Incredible Hulk post-credit scene where he meets Thunderbolt Ross. There was Deadpool the Dark World, where you see him wielding Thor's hammer with Thor's armor over his Deadpool suit on the cover here. It was going to be a frame-for-frame remake of Thor the Dark World, but replacing Thor with Deadpool and other characters. Like literally just a shot-for-shot recreation of Thor the Dark World. There are a bunch of other versions of the movie that I talked about in my other deleted scenes video. There are like 20 different versions of the movie that he pitched before Kevin Feige finally said yes to one. And he actually revealed that last pitch was the version that we saw in theaters, the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, because all those other pitches were before Hugh Jackman called him to want to be in a movie with him. He actually said when he was prepping his last pitch for Kevin Feige, before Hugh Jackman called him to ask to be in the movie, he said that if that pitch had failed, there would have been no Deadpool 3 for several more years when he would eventually, like many years in the future, come back and try to pitch other versions of the movie. All because he felt like he couldn't figure out a solid enough movie that Kevin Feige would also agree to actually spend money to make until Hugh Jackman called him and said, hey, let me be in the movie, and that became Deadpool and Wolverine. There are a bunch more deleted scenes they just released in that behind-the-scenes featurette. This is the Thor scene where he's trying to find out why Thor is crying. Notice it's not Chris Hemsworth in a motion capture suit filming with him. They just added him later with visual effects. The way that Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy explained this scene during the commentary is they just came up with the pitch for the joke without actually explaining it. They're like, we'll explain why he's crying in a future movie, and that'll probably wind up being Avengers Secret Wars. But they filmed it just wanting to have the funny moment without actually answering why he was crying. In reality, if you had to give an actual answer for why Thor is crying, the idea is that Deadpool probably becomes friends with Thor and winds up sacrificing himself to save Thor, and that's why he's crying over his body. Key being, it looks like he dies, so something really crazy happens to permakill him. There are a bunch more deleted scenes and alternate jokes during their fight scene with the car here.
Canadians are supposed to be nice. One more outburst like that and I will turn this car around. God, you are such a dick.
I've already talked about a lot of the other alternate versions of Deadpool variants that they didn't do in the movie. One of them includes a Deadpool variant that they were calling Marvel Jesus Deadpool, and he has all the different powers and abilities of all the Avengers, like Iron Man's armor, Thor's hammer, Thor's little wings in his helmet, Captain America's shield, but done with the Deadpool logo on it. He's got Hulk hands, meaning that he has gamma powers, Black Widow's gauntlets, and Hawkeye's bow, and obviously the difference, the blue and red for Captain America's suit. I think that was just meant to pay off the Marvel Jesus joke from earlier in the movie. One of the other big recent reveals that Ryan Reynolds made is that the studio and Kevin Feige are crazy about Channing Tatum's Gambit character now and want to bring him back after seeing him in the movie. For some reason before, Kevin Feige had no intention of bringing Channing Tatum back as Gambit, but Ryan Reynolds sort of willed that into existence now, where Kevin Feige is like, maybe we should actually do more Gambit Channing Tatum in the future. He's actually kind of done that with Wesley Snipes' Blade, too. Originally, Kevin Feige had no plans to do any kind of Wesley Snipes' Blade in the future, but now it sounds like he's actually thinking about doing it. They confirmed a couple big details that I talked about in previous videos, like I already did a Ghost Rider video. They confirmed that they did try to get Nicolas Cage, but for some reason it just didn't work out, and he might come back by Secret Wars. So eventually we will see a version of Ghost Rider show up, and the same thing with Ben Affleck's Daredevil. One of the other recent fourth wall breaking jokes that they've been releasing with his new promos that he filmed with Blind Owl, like new stuff that he filmed as Deadpool with Blind Owl, is them watching their own movie together. So it's Blind Owl also kind of breaking the fourth wall, but Deadpool in Deadpool and Wolverine, like in the actual movie, does know that he is a fictional character in the middle of making an actual movie. Like, we're making the movie and making fun of the MCU at the same time and all this other meta stuff going on. They kind of did a version of this Deadpool watches Disney Plus joke with the She-Hulk series too, where she busts out of her own show while it's on Disney Plus on someone's TV. This is kind of like Deadpool's version of that, where he's commenting on his own movie that he just got done making while it's on Disney Plus. Technically, his fourth wall break powers make him one of the most powerful characters inside the entire Marvel multiverse. There are a bunch of other smaller details too, like during Channing Tatum's part of the behind the scenes, he talks more about his version of the Gambit movie as it would have been before Disney bought Fox and they canceled all those projects. He explained why he was so happy in Deadpool and Wolverine because he got to wear the full Gambit comic book armor, but if they had actually made his Gambit movie back in the day when they planned to, he would not have gotten that armor because the movie would have taken place before he joined the X-Men. The original X-Men Apocalypse post-credit scene with Essex Corp was actually meant to set up that Gambit movie because Mr. Sinister was going to be the main villain of that movie. They kind of got into Gambit and Mr. Sinister's history during X-Men 97 Season 1, but only briefly because they kind of sped run all those different arcs. There are a couple cool shots of some of the Easter eggs in the background here, like the Fantastic Car, Iron Man Easter eggs on the hood ornament here. It's basically Red Skull's car from the first Captain America movie, hot-rodded to look like Iron Man's hot rod car he was working on in the first Iron Man movie. So like it was pruned from a reality where Iron Man bought Red Skull's car and turned it into his personal car at some point. I already talked about the Strife helmet in the background during one of my previous deleted scenes videos. If you don't remember Strife, he's actually a clone of Cable from a distant future, which they also kind of got into during X-Men 97 Season 1 at the very end. Maybe we'll see some Strife stuff in future X-Men 97. Josh Brolin's Strife would have been really cool during the movie. We get a much better look at the Sentinel boot joke that they have in the movie. That's actually based on a joke from the original Deadpool game, which actually blew it up around the time the first Deadpool movie was coming out. So for those of you that wanted more Easter eggs for the Deadpool game in the Deadpool movies, we actually got a little bit here. They revealed the street that he lives on here, where the Deadpool core fight takes place, was referred to when they were making the movie as the New York Street, implying that his Deadpool lives in the New York City of the X-Men universe, which makes sense because the X-Mansion is in upstate New York. Notice there was an alternate joke on the side of the bus here that they eventually replaced with the Stan Lee cameo scene joke. The Get Stuff joke turned into the Stan Lee steamer Stan Lee joke. There are a bunch of other deleted scenes of Peter here inside the TVA that I talked about in my previous videos too. There was like a completely alternate ending to the movie, which they sound like they cut just because it felt redundant. And one of the other cool details from inside Deadpool's apartment here is that you notice that he has a toy Wolverine remote holder that he just keeps around, like this exists as a piece of X-Men merch inside the X-Men universe. They kind of got into this phenomenon during the MCU movies where the Avengers have become celebrities inside their world. The same thing would be true of the X-Men inside the X-Men universe on their Earth. Like everybody would be buying X-Men merch based on their characters. The follow-up question is, do the X-Men themselves actually earn any money from that merch because of licensing deals? Notice here all these weapons are Blade's different weapons, and you can actually see his sword from the original Blade movies on the wall. He just wasn't using it during the actual final battle, probably because they didn't want him using his sword and Deadpool using his swords at the same time too, so they just wanted to give him a different weapon so that it looked a little bit different on screen. This is meant to be the Excalibur sword from the Eternals movie, but from another universe, pruned to this universe. This looks like a version of the Sword of Might, which actually belongs to Captain Britain from the comics, which would be from some universe. They didn't say which universe it came from, just that it came from another universe and it was pruned to here. One of the other big Easter eggs here too is this is meant to be Captain Marvel's table from the Marvels movie in her spaceship. So at some point, a version of Captain Marvel got pruned, sent to the void with her ship, and then died. No idea what she did to actually have to get pruned by the TVA. I think for a while the movie just had many different other cameos they were considering based on what worked out, and at some point a version of her was going to be in the movie, whether or not she was going to be a villain or some other twist on the character. But because there's a billion other Easter eggs and things in the background of all these behind the scenes and deleted scenes, if there's anything that you spotted that I didn't talk about in this video or my previous deleted scenes videos, just write them below in the comments. I'll have to create like a separate playlist just for my deleted scenes videos. I think I've done almost as many deleted scenes videos as I've done regular bonus videos for the movie. Watch me say this, and then like another week or two, Ryan Reynolds will dump like 4 more big deleted scenes. # release the Reynolds cut. Everybody click here for all those other deleted scenes and Easter eggs, and click here to learn about Denzel Washington joining Black Panther 3. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.